Alright, so I just wanted to jump on here real quick and let you guys know that this isn't going to be a detailed review of like the very specifics of the drone itself and of the goggles and all that. It's going to be my experience over the last 3 months. Durability, capabilities, what I've experienced. So don't expect to like know what kind of motors and VTX. There's a bunch of other channels out there that have already done reviews like that. Go check out those channels. And also, there's going to be a list down below that's going to bring you to different parts of the video. So if you want to know more about the goggles or the transmitter or the drone or just my conclusion if you should buy it, those are all going to be down in the description below. So go check those timestamps out and enjoy the video. Opinion, I haven't used them. And there's a tick on me. And if there's one tick on me, that means there's probably more. I know I'm definitely taking a shower when I leave here. Great. How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Novice 3. Alright, so the Novice 3 review. Why did I come out into the middle of the woods to do this? Just wanted to change it up a little bit, get out of my house, you know, spend so much time in the house since the whole pandemic broke out that I figured I'd come out here to do this review. I'm going to start out with the bag. The bag is actually a really solid bag. It comes with the product, as you could probably see if you're looking at this thing, and it comes with a pretty solid plastic-like handle. The zippers feel like they're pretty durable. I've opened and closed this thing probably 100 times at this point, maybe even more. Like I said, you saw in the title, this is 3 months with the Novice 3. So if we just open this guy up, you'll see that it comes with a zipper up here and a pouch that everything comes in, and I got some extra stuff in here that I'm going to be showing you. And then down in here, it holds the goggles, the transmitter, and then the drone itself down at the bottom there. The bag's pretty durable, like I said. It's very convenient, and that's one of the things that you're not going to get if you go and you buy separate parts, like a separate transmitter, a separate drone, and a separate goggles. It's not going to come with an all-in-one bag like this. Although I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to find a bag, but again, it's more money, more stuff you have to buy into initially whenever you first start flying drones. So I really like the bag. The bag is probably one of the best parts of this kit, and if that tells you anything, then maybe you can foreshadow on what's going to be coming about later on in the video. It's also really nice because it can hold all the tools that you'll need to be able to work on your drone if you're out in the field. And it actually it has a really nice little spot right here up top where initially I think the batteries came, but if you have a little tiny whoop, like I bought a Mobula 6, it fits perfectly in there because the Mobula 6 comes with a little box, and if you're going to go out and fly, you want everything to be in one little packet. So to have that little area to put your tiny whoop is actually pretty nice. So now that I showed you the bag, I'm going to move over to the goggles. Now these goggles, they're pretty basic. They're pretty basic goggles. Like if you go online and you look up, these are called the Eachine EV 800. Now they're not the 800D, which is a much better goggle because they're diversity. And if you don't know what that means, it means that it has 2 antennas coming out of the top of it. So you can have a polarized antenna, and you could also have a patch antenna. So it'll give you like further range because it has a higher dBi. A lot of people online talk really highly of these goggles for a beginner goggle. They're super cheap by themselves, so if you already have a drone and you want like an extra pair of goggles so you can let spectators watch, or if you want to show your kids or whoever wants to see what you're doing, you can let them throw these things on and check out what you're doing in the sky. So it's really good for that, and if you're going to upgrade in the future, which you probably definitely will, these will be really good to have as like maybe a sidekick goggle so you can show, you know, spectators what you're doing. Another really nice thing about these is the fact that they come apart. So whenever you first start flying FPV, you might be a little bit nervous to just throw the goggles on and start flying. So being able to take them off like this and fly line of sight, and then be able to look down and see what it looks like to fly FPV, which is what I did when I first started flying, it's actually super, super handy to do that, because if you start getting nervous inside the goggles, then you can look back up and check out the line of sight and, you know, go back and forth, which is what I did, like I said, and that's how I learned how to fly. So really like that part of it. But after you get used to flying like that, you could just throw them together like that, throw on the antenna, and boom, you're ready to go. The resolution's pretty good. I didn't have any problems with it. It looked really clear to me. Actually, a lot clearer than anything that I saw online. A lot of people were saying that these aren't the best goggles for resolution and all that, this, that, and the other. If you've never flown before and you have no experience with FPV, like me, that's why I'm doing this review, because I'm a beginner, I'm a novice, and the people that are going to be buying this are most likely novice. You're not going to have a problem with these goggles. Oh, and they also have on the bottom here a little hole so that if you have a tripod mount, or if you have a tripod, you can go ahead and screw these things on and use them on a tripod mount. So if you want to stand up and watch them without the lens on, then you could just pop this thing on a tripod and use it as a monitor. So that's pretty nice. The battery lasts a really long time. I've flown over 20 packs on these things without recharging them. So 20 packs, and now I'm talking, that was at the very beginning whenever I first bought it, and I was super gun-ho, and I was going home and just recharging the 5 batteries that I had. And I'll get into the batteries a little bit later, the batteries that come with the kit. But the batteries actually last, or the battery lasts quite a bit of time, and it comes with a DC charger, which I left at home. I forgot to bring it with me, but it's just a basic DC charger, 5-volt charger, and you just plug it into the wall, plug it into the drone, or plug it into the goggles, and then it charges up. The one thing about it is that you're going to want to plug these things in right when you wake up in the morning, or right whenever you're, starting to charge your batteries for your drone, because it takes a really long time to charge. Much longer than the transmitter or the batteries that come with the drone. It takes, I would say over an hour to charge these up. So you're going to want to give yourself quite a bit of time before you go, don't give yourself 30 minutes before you go out in the field to charge these things up. They're not going to be fully charged. Now we're going to move on to the worst part of this kit. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now, this is the reason that I'm not going to suggest you to buy this, this whole setup, this whole ready-to-fly kit, because the transmitter is the Eachine ER8, and these things have been giving me so much trouble, and they're not just me. If it was just me that was having this trouble, then I probably wouldn't even mention it, but I'm seeing all over the internet, everybody that buys this kit is having issues with this transmitter. So it really is frustrating that they included such a piece of garbage with, besides this thing is pretty solid. This thing would be amazing, absolutely incredible, and I would suggest everybody buy it if it wasn't for these. So basically, the biggest problem is that you'll get this warning, and it's called EEPROM. And basically, whenever you get that warning, all your settings are erased. What will basically happen is that you'll have to go down into the settings here and reset the mode, and you'll have to reset the RC channel order. These will just completely reset on you out of nowhere, and it happens all the time. I've had to do it like 6 times now. And then you also have to go in to this part of the menu, and there's a couple channels online that are explaining this in quite detail. So I'll send you over to them to see this, but all of these will reset, and you have to go and you have to configure all of these. And if you don't know what you're doing like I did, it can be really frustrating whenever it first happens. And it could ruin your time, because you'll go out in the field, and if you don't know what you're doing, then you'll all of a sudden just be stuck there out in the field with a transmitter that's not working, and you have to go back home, get on the internet, or if you have a phone, you can get on your phone internet, but still, it takes a long time to figure out how to remap the configuration of these controllers. You can bind it to other quads too. So I have the Mobula 6 here. I guess I'll just turn this on really quick here so you can see. So we got, thank God it didn't just have an error right there. Get out one of these little batteries. I'm not even going to put the goggles on. The goggles also can be bound to it. It's not an issue. But that should be known. If you know anything about FPV, you'll know that the goggles obviously can be bound to this. So turn that on, and I'm just going to there we go. I was like, wait a minute. So let's lift it off real quick so you can see. Boom. So the controller can be bound to other quads, so don't worry about that. If you've already bought it and you're thinking about buying a little Mobula 6 or another micro, you could definitely bind it to it, and that's not an issue. And also, I forgot to mention, that with this transmitter, you're also going to have issues with binding. So whenever you have that thing pop up on the screen that's telling you that you have EERPOM problem and you basically erased all your data, it also is going to come unbound to your drone. So, I also have links to channels below that will help you with the EEPROM problem that I had. But there are some pros to this. I mean, as far as the quality goes, the ergonomics of it, when they're working, they work really well. The gimbals are nice. The switching on them is nice. Whenever I bought them, they came completely set up with the drone. They were already bound. All the switches worked. Everything was ready to go. Also with the goggles. The goggles were on the right channel and the drone was on the right channel, so that the VTX and the goggles were set up completely, so I was able to just turn on everything and then take it off. So whenever the first day experience is what everybody else's channel was talking about. They're talking about that first day experience. Whenever you first get the drone, yeah, buy the drone. I mean, you're going to see everybody. And I'm not going to mention any names negatively. There's a lot of people out there that will mention this thing is a really good, ready-to-fly kit, but this thing is not the best thing. You're probably going to have to upgrade. But they don't mention any of the bigger problems with it because they just open the box up and fly it once, and then they give a review because they want to get the views, which I understand. But it's not the best way to actually review a product. You want to spend some time with it. I've spent 3 months with this thing. These things suck. Whenever I was looking at the product online, these things looked like they were going to be super cheap feeling. But actually they come with these like rubbery back plates on the back. And just the way that it feels in your hand and the durability of the plastic and the metal toggles and everything like that, it does feel higher quality than I would expect. But too bad the circuit board inside, there's something wrong with it. Now, if there's somebody out there that's watching this video and they know what that EEPROM issue is and there's a way to fix it, please let me know down in the comments so I can come back on here and let everybody else know that there's a way to fix that. But as far as I can tell, online I haven't been able to find any solutions. Oh, and another thing is that the batteries that come with it, it comes with 6 batteries if you get the Fly More package, and then it comes with 2 batteries if you get the non-Fly More package. So one of the batteries that you get, you're going to have to put into the back of the controller or the transmitter and use it to power the transmitter. So one of your batteries is gone immediately for the transmitter, but the battery lasts just as long as the goggles. I've been able to fly 20 plus packs and not have to recharge it. Whenever the transmitter is on, you can see right there that it says 11.7 volts. So it will tell you exactly how many volts you have left in the transmitter, and it's the 3-cell 450 milliamp battery. So you know that you can run it down to 9 volts if you want to, but I wouldn't suggest doing that. 10.5 is probably the lowest you want to run it down to keep your battery safe. We're going to talk about the battery and the charger next, and the batteries and the charger next. And the charger that comes with it, again, if you're a beginner and you're a novice like me, there's a lot of people online that talk about this kit and they say there's so many negative things they say about products. And whenever I was first getting into it and I had purchased it and I was watching the reviews, I wanted to go online and buy a brand new charger and get a new transmitter and buy a new goggles because everyone was saying these suck, this sucks, this sucks. But the thing is that all these people that are doing these reviews, they're people that have been in the hobby for 5+ years, FPV hobby, right? So they've been flying all these amazing drones, these 5-inch drones with Fat Shark goggles. They kind of forget what it feels like to first get into it. And what it first feels like to get into it, whenever you get a charger like this, it's not a bad charger. Yeah, it only charges 1 battery, but it doesn't take that long to charge up a battery. You'll plug one of your batteries that you get with it into it, and it'll charge it within like 30 minutes. So to charge all 5 batteries up, you're waiting for like 150 minutes. So a few hours, right? A couple hours, and you're out there flying. And you're gonna have to wait for your goggles and your transmitter to charge up anyway. So you could just sit on the internet or work around the house or do whatever while your batteries are charging up. Obviously, always be next to the charger and make sure that you're monitoring it because these can be dangerous and they can blow up your house or burn down your house. You don't want that to happen, so be very vigilant. But another good thing about this is that it works as a cell checker. So whenever it's not plugged in, you could just plug it in and you could check the cells of your battery to make sure that your batteries are charged or healthy. So you'll see that it'll go through, it'll say all 12.5, B1 4.17, B2 4.12, B3 4.19, and it'll let you know what every cell is charged to. And that's a really, really good thing to have out in the field, because if you crash and you damage a battery, kind of like this one is, and you want to make sure that you haven't damaged the cell, you just plug it in, and if one of your cells is a lot higher or a lot lower than the rest of them, then you probably shouldn't use that battery anymore. So as far as the charger goes, I think it's a high quality, or not, I wouldn't say a high quality charger, but it 100% is more than sufficient enough to get into the hobby. And the only downfall of it that I will say is that you could only charge one battery at a time. It would be nice to charge more so you can get out in the field quicker, even though you're gonna have to wait for the goggles anyway. So I want to talk about the batteries, and this is kind of a touchy subject for me, because I got a little irritated about this. So the batteries that come with it are Tattoo battery, 3-cell, 75C, 5 watt, 450 milliamp. And these batteries right here, whenever I first started flying, they were lasting me 10 minutes of battery. I was getting even 11, 12 minutes of flight, but after about 10 minutes, it starts blinking on the screen, and I would imagine that's because they don't want you to run your VTX for that long, because the VTX does get pretty hot. It happens on every drone, as I've learned from doing research on the internet, and you don't want your VTX to be running that long. So when you first start to fly, you're going to be up in the air and you're going to be flying real slow, and you're not going to be doing much. You're probably going to be in stability mode, and when you're just cruising like that, the drone is super efficient. I mean, it will stay up in the air for 10, 11, 12 minutes, and the voltage will still be up in, you know, way above 10.5. I always land my batteries at around 10.7, 10.71, 10.72, just so that I can keep a healthy battery and I can make them last longer. So I've been flying for about 3 months now. I fly every single day. I've only had one day where I couldn't fly, and that was because of some damage that happened to the drone, which I'll mention later. Alright, so I was editing up that video and I realized that there was one thing that I forgot to mention. Whenever I said that there was a day that I didn't fly, and that was because the XT30 connector that came with it actually ended up breaking about 3 days after I got the drone. So I actually had to buy a soldering kit and XT30 connectors, and I didn't realize that I could just cut the XT30 tip off and replace that, so I tried to solder it to the board. And I was successful, but as you can see there, I didn't do a very good job at soldering. It was my first time ever doing it, but thankfully I didn't destroy it, and it still works. So that's why I've had one battery go bad on me, and that was because of a crash. I didn't even crash really. I came down and I skimmed concrete, and it scraped the bottom of the battery, and then that ended up damaging one of the cells, and it started to puff on one of the cells, so I just stopped using it because I didn't want to hurt my drone or to have a fire. So after I lost that battery, I wanted to go online and pick up some other batteries, and I kept hearing from, again, not going to mention any names, but I kept hearing from all these different RC channels whenever they were reviewing this product to buy GNB, get GNB 520 batteries, get GNB 650 batteries, get GNB. GNB is a way better brand than Tattoo. I've been flying Tattoo batteries for 3 months, no issues with them. Now, I bought 2 GNB batteries. Now these things still work fine, but there's a specific person online, and if you're watching this review, you've probably already seen his review, that talks about GNB batteries all the time. These things aren't as good. They don't charge, obviously they're a higher milliamp, so they charge a lot, they take a little bit longer to charge. But they fly significantly less time, and the reason that is because they're 6 grams heavier. So that guy that I'm talking about, he was talking about how if you get GNB batteries, 650 milliamps, you're going to be getting 10+ minute flights. That's a lie. That's a lie. He was lying about that. I don't know why he mentioned that, because it's not true. You're not going to get longer flights with a larger battery on this drone, because that weight is going to take down, the power to weight ratio gets skewed, and you're going to get less flight time. With these batteries, even though they're 520 milliamp versus the 450 milliamp, I'm only able to get 7-minute flights versus 10-minute flights when just cruising. And whenever I'm ripping around, I'll get 5-minute flights with these, where I'll get 6 to 7-minute flights with these. So that power to weight ratio, that 6 grams, that makes a huge difference in flight performance too. Because whenever you take off, I can tell that whenever these are on there versus this, I have to go up maybe 5% more on the throttle to get it to lift off. You have to punch up. It takes, you go a lot less high whenever you punch out completely to do like flips. It's a lot less floaty. So if you're going to buy more batteries for your Novice 3, if you already have the Novice 3 or you have it coming and you want to buy more than the 2 batteries that it comes with or the 6 batteries that it comes with, don't go for the 520. I'm not saying don't buy G&B, but don't go for the larger milliamp. Try to find G&B 450 milliamp or Tattoo 450 milliamp. I wasn't able to find the Tattoo 450 milliamp, so that's why I went with the G&B 550 or 520, and plus because I've heard all kind of amazing reviews on it. So I thought that it would, last a lot longer. All right, so now we're going to move on to what everybody's actually here for, and you probably already skipped ahead to see the drone itself. Is this a good drone, and should you buy it? This right here, if this was being sold alone, I would suggest that anybody go buy it. It's an amazing drone. It works phenomenal. People talk about the durability issues. I'm here 3 months later to tell you that there is no durability issues. There's a couple people online that had some issues with the motors, like reviewers. I don't know what they were talking about. I've crashed these things into trees, rocks, on pavement, all over the place. And I haven't had any damage to the motors, any damage to the frame, any damage to any part of it. Now that I said that, I'm probably going to take off and crash it in these woods, but hopefully that doesn't happen. It flies great. It came bound, like I said, to the transmitter and to the goggles. And there's an onboard DVR. So if you want to record and upload videos to YouTube or to Facebook or any other platform, you just throw a micro SD card in there. And then there's 2 buttons on this side. There's one up front and there's one in the back here. You just press that button, a light will start blinking, and boom, you're recording. Then you got to press that button whenever you land, and the light will go solid, and then you could unplug the battery, and the video should be saved. Now, I have seen a couple people online that said that their DVR wasn't working. There was a couple people that reached out to me already on my channel saying that they had issues with the Novice 3, the VTX board. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the best part of the entire package, is the drone itself. And if, like I said, if they sold this thing separately, I think it would be a really hot item, because for a 3-inch quad, this thing, for a 3-inch quad, I don't have any other quads to compare it to other than the Mobula 6, right? But from what I can tell online, from what everybody is saying, this thing is a ripper, and it's a lot of fun. It's cruiser, it's super efficient, the flight time's amazing. There's only one issue that I can think of that I have with this. There's only one con, and that is the bottom. As you can see that I put a pad on here. Well, I guess there's 2 issues, but the one issue almost every drone has, and you could fix it easily by putting the antennas in these heat shrink and using zip ties to tie them down. And that's how I have my antennas set up. I actually prefer it like that. I put the 2 RX antennas coming off the front in a 90-degree angle, and then the VTX I just put in heat shrink and a zip tie and put it out the back like that. And I get great reception, about 200 meters of range. The video is clear the whole time, running 25 milliwatt. But the one issue that I have with it is that the bottom of the drone, whenever you take these things off, this pad that I put on off, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but these right here, these screws that are popping out, they can do damage to your battery. Where I put that rubbery pad on there, you can see that this plastic is tearing off a little bit. That is from the screw. So the screw can do damage to your battery. And the other battery that I had to retire because it got damaged from that little skid across pavement, the damage wasn't too much different than that. I mean, it was pretty similar to how that looks. So it doesn't take a lot to damage a battery, and that screw 100% can damage your battery and put it out of commission, which, if you're trying to fly, that's the last thing you want. So I would definitely suggest going online, and I'll have a link in the description to these pads. They're not very expensive. You can get them off of Amazon or Race Day Quads or Bangoods. They're all over the place, anywhere you feel comfortable purchasing drone products. And put this on the bottom of your drone to protect your batteries and also from keeping it from sliding out in a crash. I basically showed you everything that comes with the kit. The one thing that I forgot to show you at the beginning is this little cloth that comes with it to clean the lens off your camera. I suck at making reviews. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing now. So the binding button for the drone is on the bottom board, on the bottom control board, and it's in the very middle of the bottom control board, which is underneath the VTX, and it's really tight. You can't see in there. I haven't been able to find it yet, and because this thing comes unbound every other 5 minutes, it's really annoying because you got to go back home, get on Betaflight, and look up CLI, or go on to CLI, type in bind_RX_SPI, turn on your transmitter while holding down the exit key, and it's just a pain in the ass, really. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. They should have put that bound button in an area where you can click it easily. I don't know why they did it that way. So now the question, should you buy it? I wouldn't buy it. If I can go back and I would know what I know now about this whole thing, I wouldn't buy it. The thing that made me buy this more than anything was the fact that I was concerned that I was going to have issues setting up the transmitter to a drone that I bought, and also setting up the goggles and all this stuff, right? If I can go back and do this all again, I would have bought the Eachine EV800D, so that I would have had diversity antennas, and I would have also been able to record directly from the goggles, because that's one thing that these goggles do not do. You can't record from them. So I would have bought those goggles. I would have bought some kind of Tyrannus, the QX7, or a jumper T18, or the jumper line, the 18 one that just came out for like $100. And then I would have went and I would have watched, Nick Burns and Joshua Bardwell, and watched reviews on 3-inch quads, because I like smaller quads. That's what I wanted to get into. I didn't want to go for the 5-inch quads because how much money you got to put into it. So I would have went and watched reviews on bind and fly quads. And there's a lot of bind and fly quads out there for 3-inch that can bind to FR Sky transmitters. I would have went with that 100%. You're not going to spend that much more money. And the one thing that kept me away from it was that I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to figure everything out. That I would get it and then I'd be stuck there with everything. Like, how do I do this? There is so much information online that you will 100% guaranteed be able to figure it out. I don't care if you have an IQ of 3, you're going to be able to figure it out. It's not that difficult. There is a learning curve into flying FPV, but if you want to fly FPV, you're going to be more than willing to find out that learning curve. Whenever you get your products, you're going to be so excited about getting up in the air, you will spend 2 hours figuring it out if you have to. So if that's what's keeping you away from going down that path, trust me, it's worth it. It's worth buying a controller that's not a piece of junk. I wish so badly that I had a controller that wasn't this one, because just that fact, the fact that it erases settings and I constantly have to reconfigure it, and I have to go home and bind it because the quad doesn't have a bind button I can reach easily. Those issues right there make this thing irritating. I mean, imagine right now, I'm out here in the middle of the woods. I'm 30 minutes away from where I live. If this thing comes unconfigured and comes unbound to the Novice 3, I have to go back home. I'm not going to be able to fly and do a pack out here and upload it. I'm going to have to go back home, and I'm not coming back out here. I can tell you that. It's going to be another day. So that right there, it just makes this whole thing not worth the $250 now. Because whenever I bought it, it was $190. I bought it off of Bangoods, and I went with a 2-person buy. Like, you can, like, I don't even know what it's called. I basically bought it with somebody else that was buying it already. There's like a system that Bangoods has where you can click on it and it'll allow you to buy it with someone else and you'll get it for cheaper. So I got mine for like $190 plus tax for the 6 battery version. But now it's back up to $250 for the 6 battery version. If it wasn't for that transmitter, I would suggest you buy it. And if you've already bought it, don't freak out. Don't freak out. You're going to have fun. It's going to be a good time. But 3 months down the road, I think you're going to be thinking to yourself, I wish I had a better transmitter. So, yeah. I think that's everything. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to bring up. So thank you guys so much for watching. That was the review of the Eachine Novice 3. I hope you guys learned what you needed to learn about it. I hope I was able to cover everything that you had questions about. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comment below. I will 100% get to them and answer them. Not a problem at all. I actually really enjoy answering your questions. Please like this video, and guys, please subscribe. It does really help out a lot. And if you leave a comment down below, that really helps out a lot. If you like the video, that really helps out a lot. It helps YouTube push my video out there. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. And remember, don't quit, finish.